if it's possible, no, briefly. I don't want to bother you, but we can share maybe a copy with your wife and your little boys.
Definitely. We'd love to host you in Boulder too. I was just saying it's a 45-minute bus ride. So it's 30 kilometers, I think, something like that, from Denver to Boulder. So we're really close.
Okay, so wonderful.
Okay, so we are live and we can start right now. Hello, everyone. Hello again. Thanks for being here present. We are very glad to present to you this new program, the double degree program between Colorado Law and Universidad de Chile's Law Faculty. We have the honor to present this program we are here present, first of all, with Professor Ana Maria Moure, Director of International Affairs in our faculty. And we are very glad to present also with the director, Jimmy Ilsen. He is the International Programs Director of Colorado Law. He has also a strong academic background, Bachelor of Arts in English Literature and Linguistics in the Texas Tech University. And he has also accomplished a Master's in Education in International Education's Policy and Management at the Vanderbilt University. Hello, Jimmy. I think the best way to deal with this presentation will be that Jimmy will have the word first to start explaining to all the students present today about several important topics about this double degree program that will be a great opportunity for Universidad de Chile, because the students will be able to have the licenciatura or bachelor's of law in our faculty, plus a master's of law in the Boulder University almost at the same time.
Sorry, Diego, maybe before you continue like following up and telling everything, maybe if I can just say some short words of welcoming, because then you will be on charge, and Jimmy, and you have done excellent. And I just want to say, because I will have to leave you for a while and then coming back to just welcome you on behalf, welcome you all the people that are today with us on behalf of the International Relations Unit or Direction, and that we are very happy to welcome Jimmy Ilsen, with whom we have been working together as peers of international affairs directors, both of us working in different school of law, and that in our School of Law in Chile, Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad de Chile, we are delighted to have you, all of you, here today, because this is our first double degree that we have been, starting. Is a very challenging, and in Chile, our School of Law, it has been considered one of the first, or maybe I would say maybe the first in the country, in the sense that it has a prestigious of having 15 or 16 presidents of the Republic had studied in our School of Law, and it has been also this institution from the University of Chile, of course, strongly linked to the most important social and political changes in the country, and lately the feminist movement, and other vindications from the people about the human rights protection, etc. And our faculty also has a variety of courses, diplomas and programs that led to the degrees of Bachelor of Legal and Social Sciences, Master of Law, or LLM programs, and PhD. So today we will have the opportunity to know about the possibility of obtaining a degree of a bachelor, and at the same time being able to obtain a master's degree. So I just wanted to share with you these few words about our School of Law. And as I said, I'm very happy to have you here all. And I give back the floor to Rodrigo Dominguez. And I really, I'm really glad that you are today conducting this event, this seminar of information. And I also will be very happy to share with you later again, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professora. Then, as I was telling, after Jimmy will speak, I will explain the details of the program. After that, Jimmy will explain a few topics before ending about the scholarships and the different tracks in the master's programs at Colorado Boulder. And in the end, we'll have also time for questions of the students. Thanks again to all the students that are present, Antonia, Barbara, Benjamin, Carlos, Catalina, among others. I will remember that, of course, this presentation will be done in English, but of course, if you need to ask some questions, you can do them in Spanish, and I can translate them to Jimmy if you feel that is an easier way. Okay, Jimmy, if you want, we can start. I will open the PowerPoint.
Yeah, and while you do that, I'll just take a second to say hello to everybody. Yeah. Good morning, buenos dias, from Colorado. We're very excited to get this agreement and this partnership started. This came about before the COVID era, and then was disrupted, I think, a bit during COVID. And but we are very excited to move forward, hopefully in a post-COVID world. And I'm very happy to be here. Normally, I would probably be in Santiago to meet you all individually and personally. That's not the case this year, but no, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. We are very happy to have you here also and explain us in detail this amazing program.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as I was telling, we'll have a presentation involving several topics: why Colorado law, explaining about the Boulder-Denver area, why pursue a US master's in law. We'll answer some questions of the program description, explain the Master of Law at Colorado Law, and also have some words about the scholarships with a final time for the questions. As I said, today we'll have with us the director, Jimmy Ilsen, myself, Rodrigo Dominguez, International Relations Assistant of the faculty, and Professor Ana Maria, that she will leave us in a moment, but she's present and very happy to introduce this program. Why Colorado law? I think Jimmy can explain to you better this part of the presentation.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously everyone's here for a reason, right? And you're considering the dual degree program. You may be considering just an LLM in general. We'll talk about why the LLM here in a second, but specifically to Colorado law, and honestly, when we signed this agreement, I think we have 3, and we have a small LLM program, and we're very cognizant of universities, law schools, other institutions, students, faculty that we have commonality with, I think. And you can see behind me, I mean, it's we have this mountainous state that we live in. It's kind of like being in Santiago and looking up at the mountain range. We're literally right at the start of the Rocky Mountains. Here in Colorado, natural resources have been a traditional economic driver for the state. I think the same thing in Chile in general. Natural resources are a big thing. Mining, energy, And we have gone through similar transitions, I think, to being more environmentally conscious as it pertains to, mining and, mineral development, oil extraction, things like that, and more specifically, and on a more basic level, air and water, climate change. And so we've been making these transitions, I think, in parallel with Chile in general, and then more specifically, we are a public law school. We're the only public law school in the state of Colorado, and Universidad de Chile being the leading public law faculty in Chile. I think it just made a lot of sense. Here in Colorado, we have indigenous peoples, for example. You're going to have indigenous peoples and tribes in Chile as well. So we take into account things like natural resources, energy, the environment, human rights. We're also heavily integrating the study and practice of indigenous peoples law and policy here in Colorado as well. Entrepreneurship is really big in Chile and in Santiago specifically. Honestly, that's the primary driver of the Colorado economy now. We've transitioned to a more tech and telecom based community that's really where entrepreneurs are the drivers, since you're getting into entrepreneurial and business law, tech law, telecommunications, intellectual property. So it made a lot of sense for us to partner up with the Universidad de Chile. In terms of the LLM program that we offer, we're a bit different. We're comparatively small. CU Boulder, the university, we're part of the larger CU Boulder University, has 34,000 students. The law school has about 550 students. The LLM program is 20 to 25 students annually, all of the programs. We're very intentional in that regard, in that it's a one-year program, so we have to get things right for everybody. And to do it correctly, and in our mind, to get things right, we have to keep it small. Not that we're micromanaging, but sure that all of our LLM students have access to the classes they want. If you're in an environmental law program and you want a clinic, I don't want you competing with 50 other students in environmental law. I want you to have access to the clinic. If you want to take venture capital, I don't want you competing with 100 other students that are in the entrepreneurial law program. I want you to have access to venture capital. And then more importantly, we want our faculty to have time for all of our LLM students, to dedicate to them, to develop good relationships with, to advise. Again, it's a year, and we really, it's challenging, I think, when you run a one-year degree program to get everything correct and to provide an optimal experience. And to do that, we keep it small. Why Colorado law? We've got a great community. You can go look at Princeton Review, for example. We're perpetually in the top 10. I think we're number 6 right now for the best quality of life. I understand that law school is competitive. Anywhere in the world, anywhere you go, here in the U.S., it's very competitive. But one thing that I've worked at multiple law schools. One thing I like about here, if you can go back for a second for me, Rodrigo, just so I can run through that, is it's less competitive and much more collaborative, and it's noticeable. Our JD students help our LM students. Our LM students help our JD students. Yes, you're competing for grades to a degree, but it's generally a bit more relaxed here. It's a great community. Cost, if you get nominated, if you get in, you're basically into a top 50 rated law school. That is our tuition. Again, we're the only public law school, so we're about $20,000 below the average cost of an LLM at the top 50 US law schools. So you're doing really well if you can just get admission. We do offer everyone scholarships. 100% of our international students receive a scholarship. It's a beautiful location. We've kind of got the best of both worlds. You're about 45 minutes from Denver, where you'll find all of the things that you may want in a capital metropolitan city, whether it's sports, museums, live music. And then immediately you can see again right behind me, immediately to our west, mountains and everything that you may want to pursue in the mountains, including mountain biking, running, hiking, camping, skiing, snowboarding, whatever it is that you do in the outdoors. You can find it here.
Yes, just to complement Jimmy, Boulder, for the people that don't know, is a very small city besides Denver, that is the capital and biggest city of Colorado. So it's a good opportunity because, as Jimmy said, you are very near to all the things you need of a big city, but in this small city, very near to the mountains and nature.
Absolutely, absolutely. And something else you may want to consider too is we're a comprehensive U.S. university, as it says here. We're a part of a larger campus, and so when we talk a little bit later about our specializations or LLM programs, they're reflective of the law school's area of specialization, but not just the law school, the entire CU Boulder campus. And so I know that all of you have been studying law, assuming that you're all in the same undergraduate program. We actually encourage students to pursue some interdisciplinary courses. So if you're interested in urban water policy that's offered by environmental sciences over in the graduate school on main campus, do it. We want you to do that. That's great. If you want to take a private equity course in the MBA program at the business school, awesome. Digital forensics over at engineering, great. We want students to have the interdisciplinary experience to improve their own legal competencies, depending upon wherever, which could lead them any number of different directions. And then, experiential education access. So clinics, I mentioned, is a great opportunity. We have a public service program as well that we definitely encourage everyone to get involved in. If you accumulate enough public service hours, it will be noted on your transcripts. If you hope to qualify for the New York Bar, for example, they do require pro bono hours, and that would count towards the New York Bar. If you want to go to the next slide, thanks, Rodrigo. A lot of stats on our rankings. Boulder is pretty well known within the US, highly desirable, beautiful place to live. Like Rodrigo said, you kind of have the best of both worlds. You've got your metro area, and then you've got immediate access to the outdoors. And that's one of the beautiful things, one of the things I love about this area, especially, I think it was a bit easier for us in Boulder during COVID. We're not a densely populated city. It's about 100,000 people here, 35,000 of which are students. But if you wanted to go mountain biking, if you want to go to a trail, like that part of our life has never been disrupted because it's just not dense. So there's plenty of room for us to maintain some of these activities that we have that have really pulled and drawn all of us to the area. We have a great state economy. Number two, healthy economy, healthy people. Again, it generally, the area attracts people that have a love for the outdoors. And so you'll find a lot of different skiers, mountain bikers, campers, triathletes, any number of outdoor sports, you name it. We were just talking about the upcoming football match that Chile has today, and good luck. I'm cheering for you all. I hope you make it. I want to see you in the World Cup. We literally have a soccer pitch. That's
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're right by the law school as well. And so that's one thing that actually probably the best part of my day is just going out and kicking the ball around with students. So very outdoorsy. It does snow. We haven't had snow yet, but yeah, beautiful area. If you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah. So before that, to understand, the city has 100,000 inhabitants, and the university has, between students and workers, around, how much did you say, 40,000?
There's 35,000 students, so it's really a college town. I mean, the Boulder itself is grew up around CU.
Everything happens around university.
Right, exactly. So student housing, it's it's known to be one of the more bikeable cities in the U.S. So pretty easy access to downtown Boulder or the university via a bike. We've got a robust bus system as well. But yes, it is a very much a college town that has transitioned. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that live in the area as well. But you're correct in that the majority of the people who live in the area are going to be CU Boulder students.
Yeah, that's very good. I will go to the next one. Yeah.
And then pragmatically, right? Why an LLM? Why would you consider an LLM outside of Chile and the US or anywhere else? And some of these are obvious. Further your education, formalized competencies in US and more broadly common law. If you want to pursue a specialized LLM program, we'll talk about this in a second, formalize a legal specialization, whether it's entrepreneurship and business law, whether it's natural resources, energy, environmental law, or indigenous peoples law and policy, or human rights, to get that diploma, right, that degree in a formal specialized area. Obviously, you would improve your English and definitely improve your legal English. That's the big learning curve right there, I think, is legal English. And the same thing for us. Legal Spanish is challenging for a number of us when we move on from our conversational Spanish into legal Spanish.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Pragmatically, The LLM here can qualify you for a number of US state bar examinations, Colorado included. We have some states listed here. So New York, not California, but New York, Texas, DC, Colorado, roughly half the US are a part of the uniform bar exam.
Sorry, Jimmy, for the students that don't know the bar examination, correct me if I'm mistaken, but would be the equal to our final examination in the bachelor's to be able to work as a lawyer in a determinate state in the US.
Basically, pretty much. And each US state and jurisdiction is going to have its own separate bar examination. I was muted, sorry. Yes, so each US state and jurisdiction has its own bar exam, which is kind of like, it's not formally tied to the university. It's actually administered by the Supreme Courts of each state. But generally in the US, you have to have a JD, a 3-year US JD to qualify for the bar. The LLM though, if you have, for example, your law degree from Chile, plus a US LLM, it can enable you to sit some bar exams. And what's great about that is you can gain eligibility to practice in Chile and the US. And so if there may be US firms, companies, organizations that are based in America but operate in Chile, or the other way around, Chilean universities, Chilean organizations, businesses, companies, firms that may have a home base in Santiago or anywhere else in Chile that operate in the US, or you just have clients, that are going to be American clients or even from common law countries. Well, more specifically with the bars in the US. That's a great, it's not just an item to include in your resume. That's a real capability. It's an achievement really to gain admission to a US state bar. And again, you can do that in Colorado, you can do that in New York, California, Texas, DC. The beauty about Colorado is we're part of the uniform bar exam. There's some sort of standardizations, despite the fact that each state offers its own or requires its own separate bar. And Colorado, New York, Texas, DC are all part of that standardized system. So it gives you some flexibility too. So you could transfer your bar scores to other states if need be. Obviously, again, I think it's obvious, but really, I mean, something that's probably the biggest takeaway, I think, from any graduate level program is to expand and diversify your global networks. We have a small LLM program, 20 to 25. We normally have about 14 or 15 countries represented in that country. So even though it's small, it's incredibly diverse when considering our global community and then our global alumni. Obviously, with the LLM, you don't have to qualify for the bar or even pursue the bar. The LLM alone will increase your job prospects. You're formalizing, you're certifying a specialization in a particular area of law, your legal English. And then, of course, something we're actually really big on here is personal growth. There's something to be said for travel. There's something to be said for living in another country and adjusting and surviving and thriving, and then sometimes surviving, and then it's kind of up and down a lot when you're living in a different country. But the amount of personal and emotional growth that you would encounter or experience is significant.
I can imagine, Jimmy, you have experienced that because, as I know, the Colorado Boulder University has this kind of programs with other universities. You have received students doing a double degree program, and you have witnessed how they had this personal growth.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And in reference to that, we have similar agreements, the dual degree arrangement, that is, with the Universidad Panamericana in Mexico City, and then with UIT Tromsø in Norway. Notably, it may not be evident, from the face value, but our last dean, who was the UN Special Rapporteur on the rights of Indigenous people for roughly 5 or 6 years for the United Nations, when we kind of identified universities and law faculties to partner up with, he was very, very intent on identifying locations and places where Indigenous people's law and policy were important. Mexico City recently became a state in Mexico and adopted the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. UIT Tromsø has a significant number of Sami students, so Indigenous peoples to northern Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and Russia, who migrate with the reindeer herds, and then obviously Universidad de Chile. And so we kind of formed this informal, loose alliance of universities that have, to a certain degree, a focus on Indigenous peoples' law and policy.
Thank you, Jimmy. I will have the word in this section. Okay. Please remember, correct me if you need to do it.
Sure.
I pick some important questions that I think everybody will be concerning about this program. First, who can apply to this double degree program? The Universidad de Chile's faculty school students enrolled in the 7th or in the 8th semester at the Bachelor's of Law. They must be nominated by the home university, that means Universidad de Chile, and be, of course, eligible to do a Master's of Law in Colorado Boulder. Therefore, there will be some requirements mainly related to the English level and also to the transcripts. When you can apply to this double degree, the applications will be made in the fall semester of the Colorado Boulder system. That means for us in our Chilean system, in the second semester of a determinate year. And this master has a duration average in general terms of 1 year, meaning 2 semesters, this fall semester, second semester in the Chilean system, and the summer semester, that is our first semester. So correct me here, Jimmy, but this would start at around August or September, would end the first semester around December, and then the second semester will start at February, March, and will end around June. Then, what can they apply for? All the students that want to apply to the double degree program, they will be able to apply to a full Masters of Law program in the Colorado's Law. They can choose any of the tracks. As Jimmy was saying before, Colorado's Law has a lot of tracks in this Master of Law program. You can find the Entrepreneurship and Business Law, Indigenous People Law, International Law and Human Rights, among others. Then how this nomination work? Well, you will be nominated by the home university, and then the host university, in this case, Colorado Law, will decide in the end if the student is eligible or not to do the master. Finally, what is required to obtain the Master's of Law degree? Well, you'll need to achieve 24 credits in the Colorado Law. This means the credits in their system. And after that, we'll have some formalities that they must be carried out to obtain the double degree. The student that is going to go to do this Master's of Law, when the student finishes the master, Colorado's Law will send back to Universidad de Chile an academic transcript with all the courses, and then Universidad de Chile, according to the internal rules, will approve all these courses done in Colorado, and only when the student finish the Bachelor's of Law in Universidad de Chile, that means for us the licenciatura, Colorado's Law will award the Master's of Law degree. So as I said in the beginning of the presentation, the student will receive the Bachelor's of Law in Universidad de Chile and the Master's of Law in Colorado Law almost at the same time. This is the first program of double degree we have in the Faculty of Law, and it's a very good opportunity because you can have in 5 or 6 years the bachelor and a master in 2 very prestigious universities. I have here the list of these different tracks I was saying before. If you want, Jimmy, you can tell us a bit more of them, and also some recognitions that this master has had in the United States.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said before, one of the great things I think about all these programs, except for our general U.S. Law for Foreign Lawyers program, because it's general, but the specialized tracks, again, like they're reflective of not just our areas of strength at the law school, but the greater CU Boulder University. So yes, natural resources, energy, and environmental law. However much stock you want to put into rankings, we are perpetually rated as a top 10 environmental law program in the US. That's many years running. It's a beautiful program. It's got a great faculty. Again, you know, I should reference the Indigenous Peoples Law and Policy aspect. So when we're studying things like mining or oil and gas or water law, for example, there's definitely going to be a component that's going to address Indigenous peoples within the majority of those courses. Clinics are definitely available for LLM students in our environmental law clinic more specifically. What's beautiful about this program, and I think any LLM program that you may be considering, is you really want to have not just classes. You want additional means of support. And with natural resources, energy, and environmental law, we have the clinic, we have an environmental law journal, we have a very robust and active academic research center, the Getchis Wilkinson Center for Natural Resources, Energy, and the Environment. They got great connections. There's the governor's task force on forest and climate change that brings in partner states from all over the world. That those headquarters are going to be here in Boulder. There's a plethora of opportunities there. One of the cooler courses that we do is in that program as well. It's called Law of the River. What students do in May, you miss graduation, but what you do if you're an outdoors person, what they do is they do a week-long trip, a rafting trip down the Colorado River, which is a primary water supplier for the majority of the west part of the US and Mexico. They raft and camp for a week through the Grand Canyon, which is an amazing experience with your professors. And you're basically getting this very real hands-on exposure to a river and mining development that affected the flow of the river, or you may have polluted the river. You know, different areas of natural resource development that may have affected the river and in turn affected Indigenous peoples. And so it's very real, hands-on, awesome experience. If someone like me,
triples.
What's that?
Very long trip. Colorado River is giant.
It's giant. So actually, it's just from Vegas. They fly out to Vegas and they take and they go through the Grand Canyon. So it's about a week. But yeah, it's a massive river. International law and human rights, Indigenous peoples law, I think, are really closely tied to each other. A particular strength here, particularly in the wake of our last dean, Jim Anaya, who's still a professor here, a full-time professor. We have a new dean. But again, he was the UN Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous People. Kristen Carpenter is our North American representative on the UN expert mechanism on the rights of Indigenous people as well. So an area of strength with very notable faculty from international organizations. Entrepreneurship and business law, intellectual property, technology, and telecommunications law are going to be very closely tied to each other. Again, we have a tech law journal. We have a tech law clinic. We have an entrepreneurial law clinic. We have what is called the Silicon Flatiron Center for Law, Technology, and Entrepreneurship. And so you'll find a lot of programming, and they're incredibly active. You could actually go and find them right now and maybe find virtual events to attend for free. But the programs are offered in conjunction with the Silicon Flatiron Center. Again, a big driver as well. I mean, entrepreneurship of the economy here in Colorado. Notably, if you're in the entrepreneurship program, we actually integrate all of our curriculum, all the IP, tech, and telecommunications curriculum into the entrepreneurship and business law curriculum, just because so much of entrepreneurship is related to intellectual property and tech these days. It's a really cool opportunity. And then we have a general just U.S. Law for Foreign Lawyers program. Very general. Most students who do that have an interest in pursuing bar eligibility, because you do have to take certain courses within your LLM to become eligible for the Colorado bar, for the New York bar, for the Texas bar. And so, but think of it kind of like a buffet. You know, it's a buffet of LLM programs. You walk through and just pick whatever classes you want, basically. And so if you have an interest in environmental law and an interest in international law, then you really want to take property, which is kind of, you know, whatever you want to do.
That will be like a must-do master to prepare this bar examination.
It's good for the bar because you can basically just take bar topics courses in anticipation of eventually sitting a U.S. bar exam. We are well known. Yeah, it's quality of life is something that is really big to us. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the quality of life is due to anything that I do or anything that necessarily the university does. I think it's just a natural. I think there's just a strong correlation with our area, with our environment, with our city, with our culture, more so than necessarily something that the university does. I mean, we obviously do everything we can to holistically support students, but there's something unique about the area. And I think that's really one of the main reasons that we rate so well in terms of quality of life. Like I said, the environmental laws programs rank very well, legal technologies rank very well. Yeah, and just a great place to be in general.
Well, and finally, of course, I think a lot of you are wondering how will work the finance situation. Everybody knows that studying in the US is a bit expensive, and this program contempts that every student must pay the master, but the Colorado Law School offers a very average list of scholarships that students can apply for. And as Jimmy said before, almost all of the students that are in the master are getting the scholarships.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I hesitate to say 100% because we do have like fully sponsored students who don't get scholarships because they have full sponsorship. But generally, if you don't have sponsorship, 100% of our students do receive something from us. Again, like I said earlier, having access, I think, via this dual degree program and the nomination aspect is great because if you get in, again, at our face value, it's roughly $35,000, I think, for tuition here for the full program. That's 20 grand below the average cost of an LLM at a top 50 school. It goes all the way to 80,000. So you're doing really well at that point. But again, like Rodrigo said, we do consider everyone for a Colorado Law Scholarship. Generally, 100% of our non-sponsored students receive an award from us. The average award is roughly 50%. That's knocking you down to about, let's say, 17,000. At that point, it's cheaper than an LLM in the UK or in Australia. So it is competitive in that regard. In addition to the scholarships that we offer as a law school, and we have the Alan and Jerry Heath endowed LLM scholarship. It's not a lot of money, but I think it's roughly $2,500 for a year for a student. And then we have a long list of third-party scholarship providers. And so if you're considering this, I definitely recommend that you not just count on us to help you with funding. I don't know what your situation is going to be, everything that we can. Obviously, with 20 to 25 students, this isn't like a revenue driving program. It's not a moneymaker. We're a public school. You know, as long as we can keep our lights turned on and get our faculty paid, we're happy. We're good. So definitely, though, check out the third-party scholarships. There is one notable one. If you have an interest in environmental law, natural resources, energy, we are a constituent member of the Rocky Mountain Mineral Law Foundation. And as a student in Colorado Law's LLM program, you would be eligible for Rocky Mountain Mineral Law Foundation scholarships, assuming that you're in the environmental law program. So that's additional resources. It's up to $12,000, I think, their scholarships. So if you can get a scholarship from us, you can get a scholarship from Rocky Mountain Mineral Law Foundation. You may find something on our website. Go talk to Education USA as well in Santiago. They may be aware of opportunities that we're not yet privy to. I don't know what the situation is with becas, Rodrigo. Are you familiar? Is becas back?
The
The
Education
Chilean government
USA,
scholarship.
I think there are also some becas, yes.
Okay.
From the government. I will send to the students the link where they can find there is a long list of these third parties scholarships. So yeah, as Jimmy says, there are some opportunities and it's good to know all of them and do it with times, because I'm sure that if you
Yes.
apply to almost all of them, you'll get for sure one.
Yeah, and I should note too, if so, you have everything lines up. You have money for tuition. You have you have enough money to cover cost of living, but you don't want to pay that much for cost of living. You can work for up to 20 hours per week at the university. So that could be, if you could find a graduate research or a graduate assistant position within the law school, great, very substantive, and something very relevant, both in terms of maybe your academic aspirations or your professional aspirations. Some people just want to make themselves go to the gym. So they may get a job at the rec center, right? And work for 10 hours at the rec center a week. They make a little bit of money. They make sure they're at the gym. They're meeting other students. They're getting out of the law school. It's a large public university, again, and 34,000 students here. So there's tons of student worker jobs. The minimum wage in Colorado is $15. It will be $15 an hour by the time anyone from your law school or law faculty would be eligible to join us. That's twice the minimum wage that's twice the federal minimum wage. The minimum wage throughout the United States set by the federal government is $7.50, I believe. I'm sorry. Yeah, somewhere around that, a little bit lower. Drop me down. I'm probably way off. It's $15 in Colorado, though, which is significant and can definitely help supplement the costs or mitigate the cost of living in Colorado in the US.
Yeah. And being a big student city, there will be probably a lot of offer.
It's a lot of jobs. Yeah, there's a lot of student worker jobs. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And to finish this presentation, as we said, we'll have a period for answering questions of the students. I will stop sharing this. There is it.
You want me to maybe share, Rodrigo, just so they can see some more visuals
Yes.
of the campus potentially?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
JJ.
And do I have the ability? I do. Okay.
Yeah.
Full screen. But yeah, questions, comments, concerns.
One second. If you want, go ahead, Jimmy, and after you, we'll answer the questions.
Yeah, these are just pretty little, nothing, just to give you some visualizations of the area. Kind of like we were talking about, the contrast, I think, between immediate access to nature and then downtown Denver. And, if you're a sports fan, Denver football teams and baseball, basketball, museums, art centers, music venues. Yeah, I just wanted to give maybe some visualizations so y'all can kind of see the area and the location. But please, questions, preguntas.
That looks amazing, the landscapes. Okay.
Did you want to moderate the questions, Rodrigo, or?
Yeah, I'll do it. One second. So we have, the first one is Barbara. She was wondering how much this program cost without any scholarship. I think Jimmy said it was 25,000.
35. So yeah, and
35.
we should, and that's for tuition. And so it's probably about 38, 39 when you account for US insurance and then university fees. And then of course there's a cost of living as well.
Yeah, perfect. Then Barbara also is asking if she is allowed to stay for longer if she wants to take the bar exam.
Yes, so it's a tricky area because it's the dual degree program. But because you would be enrolled, and we should roll back a little bit because we can't confer the LLM degree until the bachelor's degree is conferred. And so, and I'm working with my international student and scholar services department. As I understand it, I mean, generally any LLM who already has their undergraduate degree and does the LLM you're eligible to extend your student visa for up to 1 year via what's called the optional practical training program. And that allows you to work full-time, paid, unpaid, part-time, anywhere in the US. So yes, that is a possibility. There's some things I need to clarify with my international office because you all won't have your degree conferred, but I think it's okay. As far as their interpretation of current US immigration law, which is changing constantly, especially in the wake of our last president, we're getting back to where things need to be. But it's, yes, you can extend for up to a year. It is actually quite common for students who intend to sit, there's we have 2 different bar dates. It's always going to be February and July. And so students who sit the July bar, some of them may not actually want to work, but they just want to have enough time to prepare for the bar and to sit the bar. You can apply for OPT. Once you get OPT approved, I think you have up to 60 days that are allowed, 60 or 90, I can't remember, for unemployment. But that basically gives you enough time to remain legally on your student visa, to prepare for the bar and then sit the July bar. And then if you wanted to work, of course, you could, it goes for up to a year or 12 months after the date of graduation or the date of completion of the LLM program.
Yeah.
So yes, it's very cool. You can actually get a year of professional experience as well in the US once you're done. You may need to go home though too, because you still have some semesters potentially to complete back in Santiago as well.
Yeah, it would be probably better to, in case the student has some courses back in Chile, resting to finish them before applying to a bar.
Right. Yeah, and so you would have to have, the bar will require you to have completed your legal education in Chile in addition to the LLM for bar eligibility.
Yeah. Then I am reading a lot of questions of different students that they are asking if the 7th or 8th semester requirement is a minimum requirement, or if they can apply in the 9th or the 10th. I think that actually the requirement is a minimal requirement of completing this 7th semester or being in the 8th semester. We haven't discussed yet what happens with the students in the 9th and the 10th semester, but for the moment, and also correct me here, Jimmy, is for students in this 7th and 8th.
I think we're flexible. I think the more challenging aspect of the agreement was accounting for our Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere calendars, and they don't always align, right? And so that was a difficult part of the negotiations and the agreement. But on our end, we're flexible. I think that's more of a matter of concern for you all in Santiago.
Yeah. We'll take in account that questions to have more information about it. Also, I am reading a lot of students that are asking for more information about this program, and I will share in the chat for everyone the links for several information of this program. And of course, I want to say to all the students that for more information, you can always write to the international department of the faculty for more information.
Right. You all should have our virtual or digital copies of our brochures as well. Rodrigo's, if you want to refer them to there, we have a relatively recent video on LLM video from LLM alumni at Colorado Law. I can link that. There's actually one of your grads, the Universidad de Chile grad, Giancarlo Camilleri, who is also a Fulbright here, who's in that video too. So
okay,
that covers it.
Yeah, I can share to all the students after all the links and also the programs that you sent me before.
Awesome.
Okay. We have here another question. Felipe is asking how he can apply for this program. Do you have a web page or a contact for more information? I think probably the the way that this will work will be a first period of internal nomination for Universidad de Chile, where the student must fulfill some minimal requirements, the level of English, letters of recommendation, and also the transcripts. And then we, as the international department, we will nominate the student to Colorado. Then Valentina.
Yes, that's correct. As I understand it too, all the items that you all should be requiring, I think, and this is obviously at your discretion because it's your own internal process. But as I understand it, you all would be requiring all of the items that we require as a part of the application. So if they get the nomination, I think you all should have all of our required application documents at that time when you do nominate the students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Valentina is asking if the student must do the final examination in our faculty. Yes, they must do the final examination. This Masters of Law is not an optional thing to the final examination. So yes, you must do the examination. I'm sharing now the email of the Department of International Relations for more information. Also, I'm sharing the webpage where you can find more information about the scholarships and all the list of these third-part scholarships, internal scholarship, etc. And of course, I'm sharing the link of the Masters of Law degree at Colorado's Law. Okay, I think we have time for a few more questions. Let me check.
Somebody was asking about grades. I think that's probably more appropriate for you to reply to, just because they have to go through the nomination process first.
Yes. As we said, this minimal requirement would be to have passed the 7th semester in the faculty. So we haven't defined it yet, but there will be an obligatory percentage of course approved of those 7 semesters.
Right, and then in our review, I guess that's, once the nomination comes in, the admission decision is still at our discretion. We do a holistic review. If your grades aren't great, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but there's things that you can do to make up for grades that you may think are less than stellar, i.e. public service. That's a huge thing for us. So if you're volunteering, if you're engaged in public service or pro bono work, that's great. Good substantive letters of recommendation from faculty members who may know you intimately and have a better understanding of your goals and your academic capabilities that may not be reflective in your grades. That's great. And then more specifically, don't neglect the personal statement. That's probably the one item that on our end that we really review more critically. It's a small program. Grades aren't that important to us. What matters to us is your success and our ability to provide the optimal experience that all of our LLM applicants are hoping to have and so because we have a small program, we can be very outcome oriented. And so it's all about how well we match and how confident that we are in our ability to help to enable you to achieve whatever it is that your goals are. That's our primary concern. So when you write your personal statement, think about where you are, your point A, where do you want to be, point B, and then kind of dig in and see how this program you believe, and be specific. I want to, if you're into environmental law, I really want to study water law with Professor Scolace, or I want to participate in the governor's task force on climate and forests. Tell us. We want to read into it. We want to know how we're going to help you to get to where you want to be. So yeah, And if actually, I should note too, we have an upcoming workshop. I'm in a part of a virtual consortium, and we have a workshop specifically on how to write a good personal statement. That's coming up here in a few days, but we do it every year as well. So if you're early in your law student career, this is something we're doing annually, so you could just like make a note and maybe revisit this in future years. But I'll drop a link here for the consortium as well, in case anyone has an interest in attending. And
that's great.
There's 11 schools there. We're partnered with Michigan, UCLA, Vanderbilt, Miami, lots of good schools. So lots of good input, advice, recommendations from people who work in a capacity similar to mine, but with different programs, different experiences. And so a really good resource.
Yes, of course, the personal statement will be also an important requirement. We will send to the students the specific requirements that we'll ask us for the internal nomination. Then I am reading Emilia's question. I think it's a good one. What are the next application dates? Well, as I said, the application is in the fall semester. That means the second semester. So, Jimmy, that will mean for the next fall semester, right? The next application. Oh, you are without sound.
Yeah. So if you were to nominate people, basically, I don't remember exactly what it says in the agreement, but it would be like late next spring is when like the latest nominations could come through. So that would be nominations to start in August of 2022.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. So next nomination, answering Emilia's question, would be the next spring term. That means next semester.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, then Barbara is doing a question about health insurance and other costs like housing. How would that work? Are there dorms for the master students, or is there any student housing we are eligible for?
Yeah, and so the way student insurance works, we do have a student insurance policy. Everyone is automatically enrolled. I know there's a lot of concerns about the cost of healthcare in the U.S. If you do have an outside insurance provider, the university is really good about waiving our insurance policy because it's a couple $1,000s a year, and so they're good about that. And if you do waive our policy, and of course they're going to require you to prove that you have insurance, right? We're not going to let any student go uninsured in the U.S. But if you do have a good policy and they waive our policy, you still have one that you can sign up for. It's about $100 or $200 a semester that gives you free or gives you access, not free, gives you access. $100, $200 isn't free, but it gives you access to the Wardenberg Health Center, which is the student health center here on CU Boulder, for like basic medical checkups, concerns, and then if you need to go to a specialist, then you would go on to a specialist and then use your insurance. So we do recommend if you do waive the insurance, that you still secure access to our student health center, so that ultimately it'll save you money. In regards to like I said, or like we said, Boulder is a college town, right? And so the town grew up around the university. So there are a ton of student housing opportunities that are off campus and just right around the university. Giancarlo, for example, the Universidad de Chile alum, who was here, I think, 3 years ago, he stayed with a host family. They have a basement basically that its own separate unit. It has own facilities. He didn't have to pay a lease, or didn't have to sign a lease. He didn't have to set up utilities. It was just all bundled and included. And I'm still connected to his host family. And so we have a good network of host families who like to host international LLMs. Some students prefer to live with other students. Generally, law students live off campus. But if you wanted to live on campus, that is a possibility, and that would be through graduate and family housing. It's not common, and it's mostly going to be families, but we do have a graduate family housing as well. 90% of the students that live on campus are going to be 18 or 19-year-old undergrads who are phenomenal in terms of what's going on, knowing what's going on Friday night. They're really good social resource. They can tell you all the good stuff going on in Denver, Boulder. Maybe not the best roommates for studying law, though, but there is graduate housing.
We can contact Giancarlo and ask him further information about these practical things.
Yeah, absolutely. He's very helpful.
Then Mariana is asking if it is necessary an English certificate. Yes, it will be necessary. We will ask for a TOEFL IBT or an IELTS test. The percentage of approval is not yet decided, but yes, it will be necessary an English certificate.
We also take Duolingo, just to throw that out there. We started taking Duolingo, Rodrigo, last year.
The Duolingo score report is also being discussed for the internal nomination in Universidad de Chile. Okay, maybe last questions. Do transcripts have to be translated when applying to this program? Yes, we'll ask to a translation of them, as well as in the exchange programs. About the application dates, I think we answered that question before. Then Javiera is asking if the nomination are in the spring term, if she must be in the 8th or 9th semester. That would be 8th semester, but as Jimmy said, they are flexible if you are in a later semester, so we will also give you more information about that before, of course, the nomination period.
Yeah, it's important to say that before we nominate to Boulder, you have to pass a process of selection. So when you will be nominated, we just select if you have the requirements.
Yeah. And finally, Jose Ignacio, I think that he wanted to ask a question. Jose Ignacio, are you there?
Yes, he has a question, but he wants to make it through a video. I think, Jose Ignacio, if you want, you can write it in Spanish if it's better for you.
Yes, we can.
And Rodrigo will translate. Yeah.
No problem with that.
We cannot give you access to video because we are in a conference.
Yeah.
I was about to click the allow to talk button. Thanks for
Almost.
Oh, maybe you can if you can allow, if you're okay with that, we can allow him, but
I'm fine.
For things
for a moment, and then you can withdraw the access again.
Professor, we can hear you.
And then he can participate.
She was saying go ahead and let him pop in, and then you can you can
so I will
give
do
access. Here you go, Jose Ignacio.
Okay, thanks. I was wondering if I could have video chat so it isn't like something kind of strange, like talking to a black box or something. So yeah, in a series of successful events, I'm now in 6th semester. So as long as I understood during the presentation, I think this would be for people cursing through 8th, which is fall of next year, maybe around August. So what would the process be? I had I don't know, I have to go through nominations in March. I gotta do different tests. How do CU like notices me?
Yeah, I can start, Jose Ignacio, answering, because we'll have an internal nomination. So if in Colorado Boulder, they are going to do the applications in the spring term, I don't know which date would be that, Jimmy, around what month the former
Yeah, and I should note, when we say spring, just take into account that our springs occur at different times of the year, and so obviously you'll have your internal process where you basically, Jose Ignacio, you submit all of your application documents that you would normally submit to us as a part of the LM application to the Universidad de Chile, and then they'll review, and if you get nominated, they'll notify us, and then we take it from there. And so basically at that point, you were an applicant to our LLM program. Once we receive the nomination, we do rolling admissions. So that means we are going to review all of your documents as quickly as we can, give you a decision. Roughly 1 to 2 weeks after that, or immediately after if you're admitted to the program, we immediately forward those documents to our scholarship review committee. So be aware that everything that you're submitting up front, to the people in Santiago, if you get the nomination, eventually goes all the way to our scholarship review committee. That's going to take about another 1 to 2 weeks. But in that time, you'll start to get information from us about the immigration process, how to get your student visa, and all those things will begin to line up.
Yeah, I think that would mean, Jose Ignacio, in other words, that the internal process would probably begin in the first month of the next semester.
Yeah, I'm sorry for interrupt, but that's the reason why in the page you can see March and April, I guess. Yeah, March and April in the application time. That's the reason, because we have a selection process internal, and then we nomination to Boulder.
Yeah, of course, we'll send the specific dates when we have it done in the next weeks to all the persons in this webinar.
Right. And so the application materials, at least what we require on our end, and I can't speak to what they require on the internal, on the other end at your school. But for our LLM application, 3 letters of recommendation. So definitely be aware or cognizant of faculty members or attorneys or professionals that you may know who may be willing to write a letter of recommendation. That's something you can work on right now. Your TOEFL, IELTS score. I don't know if they'll accept Duolingo on their end, but TOEFL or IELTS, you can knock that out. The personal statement, transcripts, and resume, CV. So definitely work on your resume, CV. And I think that's pretty much it. Am I right, Rodrigo?
Yes, I think a last question that I can imagine would be, due to pandemic restrictions, I think is working normally right now, the application system for Colorado Boulder?
Yeah, everything's functioning regularly. I mean, we've had a vaccine mandate since July for all students, faculty, and staff. I think that mandate extends to U.S. immigration now, as I understand it. So it's a bit redundant for us to require it, at least for international students, but it is required. One of the things, again, it's when you think about COVID, just bear in mind, Boulder's not densely populated. Everyone on the campus is required to have the vaccine. We do still have an indoor mask mandate. We're a public school, right? And so we have public libraries, and so we have to maintain access to the public, and we can't control their vaccination situation. So that's why we have the vaccine and the mandate, or the mask mandates for now.
Thanks very much, Ian. Okay, I think we are in the finish of this presentation. For furthermore questions, as Elizabeth and I shared in the chat, you have our institutional email for further questions. And yeah, I want to thank you very much, Jimmy, for being present today, for having the time to answer all of these questions. I hope we can meet personally, and yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, no worries. Happy to be here. And again, if you all need anything, feel free to reach out. Obviously, I think your direct points of contact are going to be both Rodrigo and Elizabeth. But if there's anything specific that you all may need, or an answer that you may need from our end, feel free to reach out. That's why I'm here, is to offer you all support and help.
Thank you, Jimmy. And
Professora,
Professor,
we're not hearing you very well.
Oh,
we can't hear
still
you.
without the microphone. So Jimmy, I'm sorry for not being all the time with my camera, but as I told you, I have a surgical thing in my face, so I can smile, and it's really awful. So thank you for all. Everything was really clear, and I think the students will be happy with this opportunity. Thank you.
It's a great opportunity. I mean, really, to knock out multiple professional certifications and potential bar eligibility within the same amount of time that you would have achieved, the first degree in law in Chile. It really is a good opportunity. It's a great location. I'm not from Colorado. Most people that live in Colorado aren't from Colorado. We just moved here because we love this area. So
yeah, and of course, oh, sorry.
Thank you for this opportunity to share with our students.
No, thanks, Ana Maria, for working with us to make this opportunity happen. I mean, you're the one that did it, so we are very grateful. And
we did it together. It was based on cooperation and of willingness. That is the first good step for all this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks to all the students present today for being here and participating in this new double degree program. We are very happy to share it to you also.
Thanks again, everybody. Best of luck with your World Cup qualifying match today. Again, I'm watching, I'm cheering for you. And yeah, I hope to see everybody soon or talk to you soon. So cheers.
Thank you, JJ.
Bye.
Have a very good day.
You too.
Thank you, Valentina. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Professora Elizabeth.